2 extra pairs by the door, unfamiliar, practical, placed neatly, as if they'd learned the rules of someone else's house. Very quickly, Isfreki stood there longer than necessary, still in my hand, trying to decide whether that made me a guest or a mistake. Husband didn't wait for greetings. Hey, leaned against the kitchen counterarms, crossed voice, pitched high enough to sound like humor if you weren't listening closely. "What is this?" he said, looking past my parents and straight at me. "My mom warned me," she said. "After the wedding, country relatives would start showing up asking for money." The word country landed wrong, not loud, just wrong, like a chair scraping quietly across tile. Mother's smile thinned but stayed in place. She has always been good at that, holding shape under pressure. My father didn't respond at all. He set his bag down carefully, as if he were arriving somewhere temporary. Waited for myself to speak, to smooth it over, to explain what didn't need explaining. I didn't. Something in me had gone still. Husband laughed, once expecting agreement when it didn't come. He shrugged. "I mean, we need boundaries, right?" That's when my father took off his coat. He did it slowly, deliberately, folding it over his arm. I recognized the motion from my childhood. Not from anger, but from resolve. This was how he prepared to do something that couldn't be undone and didn't need to be rushed. "Bought this place for my daughter," he said. His voice was calm, almost instruction. "Also, why is some stranger living here?" The word stranger wasn't aimed like an insult, it was a classification. The room didn't erupt. There was no gasp, no raised voices. My husband straightened, smile gone, a confusion replacing it, looked at me as if waiting for translation. I felt heat in my chest. That not embarrassment, not yet recognition. "This is our apartment," my husband said. "We pay." Father held up a hand, not to stop him, but to pause the moment. "The deed is in my name," said. "Purchased 3 years ago, renovated last year, utilities transferred as agreed." That word carried history I hadn't wanted to examine. My mother finally spoke. "We're not here to argue," she said. "We came because you invited us. Well, leave if that's no longer appropriate." She said it gently. It wasn't a challenge, it was an opening. Husband laughed again, sharper this time. "This is ridiculous. You can't just." My father reached into his bag and took out a thin folder. He placed it on the table, slid it forward without flourish. "We don't need to settle this emotionally," he said. "We can settle it correctly." The next few minutes passed in a strange quiet. Papers were opened, names read, dates checked. My husband's face went from irritated to alert to pale instead, as if information traveled through him slowly. "Don't understand," he said finally. "Why wouldn't you tell me this?" I thought of all the moments I'd tried to explain small things, how the rent was structured, why certain repairs happened without discussion, and how often had waved them away. Some truths don't hide, they're ignored. My father took out his phone. "There's no need for misunderstanding," he said. "I'll ask Levin to come by. He manages the property." The authority didn't arrive like thunder, it arrived like an appointment. Levin came 40 minutes later, apologetic for the delay, carrying a tablet and wearing the kind of neutral expression that comes from dealing in facts all day. He greeted my parents by name and nodded at me, and turned to my husband with professional courtesy. "According to our records," said, tapping the screen, "this unit is owned by Mirand, Mrs. Adler. Occupancy arrangements were provisional, contingent on marital status and mutual agreement." Mutual agreement, another quiet word with weight. "What does that mean?" my husband asked. "It means," Levin said, "that if the owners revoke permission, there's a 30-day period to vacate or renegotiate terms. I'm here to confirm what they wish to do." The room felt smaller, not from tension, but from clarity. There was nowhere for bluster to go. father didn't look at my husband when he answered, looked at want my daughter to feel secure, said that hasn't changed but security requires respect. I didn't mean, my husband started. Mother touched his arm lightly. Intent isn't the issue, she said, impact is. They weren't angry, that was the strangest part, they were finished. Melevin outlined next steps in a voice designed to be forgettable. 30 days options paperwork to follow. He asked for signatures. My parents provided them. Me husband hesitated, then signed where indicated, hands unsteady. When it was done, Melevin packed up, thanked everyone, and left. The door closed softly behind him. No one celebrated, no one cried. Me parents put their coats back on. Well, give you time, my father said to my husband. This doesn't need to be hostile. Then, to me quietly, call us if you need anything. They left the way they'd arrived, calm, contained, unmistakably intact. Stood alone in the kitchen after listening to the hum of the refrigerator. My husband sat down heavily, head in his hands. I didn't know, said I. Swear. I believed that he didn't know. I also knew he hadn't asked. The power in the apartment had shifted, not dramatically but permanently. Was like furniture rearranged while you were asleep. You keep reaching for things that aren't there anymore. Night lying in bed, I didn't feel victorious. I felt awake. Something essential had been returned to me without ceremony. The knowledge that my dignity wasn't negotiable and that calm, when held long enough, could move authority itself. The rest, love, a trust, what came next, remained unresolved, but the silence was different now. It belonged to me, too.